Alright, everybody, welcome to another week of our discussions on game design. We're still trying to come up with a catchy name for these casts. So you have a name, please let us know in the comments. But of course, I am Josh Beiser, and my co-host is indie game developer Shark. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Things are progressing on Project Triad. Sadly, not in the programming department, but hopefully that will be too soon.
And it's been, as we're getting closer and closer to the holidays, everybody is entering holiday mode, unfortunately, which means that it's going to be hard for me to make any calls. I may be forced to take another impromptu vacation until the beginning of New Year.
Well, you can use that vacation to play all those games you bought in the Steam sale.
You kidding me? I still have games from last sale to get to. It never ends. It's the snake eating the tail there kind of thing.
It's a game of Snake, but one where you just constantly eat, even if you do hit it yourself.
I've updated the text for the chat, so I'm hoping we actually get some comments so we can see how it looks. I've tripled the font size. So if it's not easy to see now, I don't know what else I'm going to do. There we go. I think it looks a lot better. People can read it now. It's amazing. But we have a whole lot to discuss. Next week, we'll maybe be doing our end of the year cast. Because again, when New Year's and Christmas happen, everybody shuts down. But we have more sales and more games to play. I guess for myself, we played Disco Elysium on stream. I can see why that game is so highly rated, but I think it's also like the complete antithesis of the kind of game that I want to play.
Yeah, I mean, like, it didn't seem like a bad game at all. It was, and it was graphically appealing, but I don't think it was deserving of all that hype, but I think pretty much every game that gets a lot of hype isn't deserving of that hype. Like No Man's Sky, almost everything that was hyped. Like, generally, the best games I find had no hype behind them.
To Mojo's question, that was the first game, the one with the me dying in 50 seconds of starting it up. The Diablo game was Torchlight. Anyone know Armory 3D? I guess, would you know that?
No, I mean, it sounds familiar, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah. Let's see. The library talk continues to progress. I'm still waiting about the book contract. I think they're also taking their sweet time because of the holiday season, so who knows? Again, it seems like the only times I take vacations now are when they're forced upon me. But there is certainly a lot to talk about, and we kind of started late due to some voice-related shenanigans when it comes to software. So let's get to some of our bigger topics. I guess before I do that, any new games you've played, Shark?
New games I've played. I've played several new games. Let's see here. I've been playing a lot of Shining Residence Refrain, and really enjoying that. It certainly has a awkward start, I guess you would say. Been playing some Turmoil, which is pretty fun. It's kind of got some frustration points to it, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And Valkyria Chronicles 4, which
Okay, around
I haven't
that
gotten
one.
very far into it, but I'm enjoying it so far.
I started playing a little bit of it, as you're well aware of, and maybe I'll get back to it at some point. I'm almost finished with Labyrinth of Refrain. Fingers crossed. I think I'm nearing the end. All craziness is breaking out in the story, so that must mean it's almost done.
Probably.
But since we have some major topics to get to, let's begin, of course, with the one that dominated the conversation. The Video Game Awards, or the Game Awards, was on this week. Have you ever heard of that, Shark?
The what?
That little award show every year for the game industry. There was also a YouTube and streaming award show that happened on Friday night. And unfortunately, my invitations to both, I guess, were lost in the mail.
Yeah, the streamies. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they gave you an honorary nomination.
What was I up for?
Uh,
Best.
Person who wants to get the most subscribers that can't.
Mm-hmm. The Getting Good Award.
Yeah, the failed to get good award.
There we go. But this is, of course, the Game Awards is the annual event hosted by what's his name? Jeff Keighley, Jeff Knightley. I always forget his last name, unfortunately.
I don't. I think it's Keeley,
Keighley.
but I can't remember.
And it's that annual event of basically the intersection of Hollywood and the game industry. And what would we say? The cringe was up to like 12 or 13 this year?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that when this award show started off, it was in what I would argue is a lot better shape than it is now.
Well, the award show originally started on the G4, then it moved to, what was it? Spike. And then it kind of like broke off from that, and it's kind of been doing its own thing with the help of many, many, many sponsors, as I'm sure we're all aware of.
Yeah, I mean, almost all the sponsors won an award. I mean,
No, they all got mentioned at least 5 to 10 times, I think. My favorite was Jeff interrupting an award to mention an advertising to then go to the advertiser.
I didn't catch that one, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doubting you for an instant.
Mm-hmm. But every year when this award happens, it always brings up that question about, I guess, kind of the legitimacy of it when it comes to the game industry. And this is where we get kind of depressing, I suppose, when we talk about this. Because, again, it just seems like it's more Hollywood than it is game dev.
Oh, absolutely. At least now it is.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't used to be so much that way, but now it's 100% scripted.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say they don't know who's going to win,
Mm-hmm.
but everything's scripted. I mean, they were having a scripted conversation with a animated cutscene. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
no way
And a Muppet,
everything is
too.
not scripted. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at best, giving them the benefit of the doubt, they don't know whose name is on there, and they have but everybody who's running already has every potential winner already has a script to read out
Mm-hmm.
when they get called up there, and their script is within a certain time frame that they have to fall within.
Mm-hmm.
That would be giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I honestly don't think they should really fall into that category. But
Mm-hmm.
giving them the best case scenario is still fairly scripted, if not completely scripted.
Yeah. And there only seems to be more of a focus on, again, like Hollywood and celebrity status rather than the developers. I think the favorite one was the woman from the Evil Within Studios, who was also at E3. I forget her name, sadly.
Oh, it wasn't Norman Reedus?
No. Elon Musk was there. Probably the most disturbing part was when they showed Elon Musk and Hideo Kojima laughing at the Untitled Beaker game. I don't know, that was kind of like, what do we call that kind of scene right there?
I don't know, but I've liked the memes that have come off of the Beaker game. Have you seen any of the memes?
No.
Well, they're probably not safe to mention during this cast. Just
Mm.
there's some pretty good ones. Let's just say that Beaker was playing a VR game that we see in the weird game segment that we cannot mention.
Oh no.
You know, That is what a lot of the memes are.
Mm. But yeah, I think the problem is that other than like the Game Developers Award, and that's one that they hold at GDC each year, there's not really like a professional show when it comes to the game industry.
Yeah, I mean, we have the conventions and everything, which a lot of those are train wreck, especially E3.
Mm,
And we have, this Game Awards, which is just.
hmm
I think, you know, I don't know about you, but when I was watching it, it seemed less like a Game Award show and more like a cringe survival techniques or something. Like if you can survive this, you can survive any kind of cringe.
hmm And about product placement for what's coming out in the year or coming out in the next years to come, I guess.
I think the
And
product placement was less than the cringe, though.
mm, did you watch all those ads for the brand new Super 4K monitors?
No. Well, oh, the one that Linus did?
Yeah.
That I think I've seen two or three of them.
But yeah, and in terms of giving shark aneurysms, let's talk about some of the award winners here. Let's see how many we can get to by the end of this section. So, the game of the year went to Sekiro, which again, like, okay, there's a bit of a tangent here. Is it pronounced Sekiro or Sekiro? Because I heard him say Sekiro in game.
Who knows? I
Somebody.
pronounce it Sakura.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Sekiro is spoiler as we're gonna go over my favorite games of the year starting on Monday night. Sekiro is not gonna be on that list.
Sekiro might be on. Would Sekiro be on your list of most least like games of the year?
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely one of the more disappointing games I played.
So it'd be on your 10 most disappointed games.
Sure.
Okay.
And I just don't understand why it won Game of the Year. And this, I think, another big issue. There's never really an explanation about why some of these games win or not.
Well, I think that, like you said, about Hollywood has invaded it
Mm-hmm.
because if you've ever seen any of the documentaries on, why, like the film awards and everything
Mm-hmm.
win and whatnot, it's not about how good the film is. It's about how much that particular film markets their winnability to the people who are deciding who the winners are.
Mm. And
So basically, it's whoever's got the most money wins.
mm-hmm. But here's my little bit of a quandary. We look at the best action game. It went to Devil May Cry 5, but Sekiro wasn't even up for a nomination for best action game.
Hmm.
I'm very confused. But
Yeah,
wait,
it's the best game, period. But it's not the best action game.
but it is the best action adventure game, which raises another question. Why is there an action game and an action adventure game category?
I don't know.
Eh,
Tell me this: why did Call of Duty not win the action award?
mm-hmm. I got a better question for you. Why is Resident Evil 2 nominated for action adventure? Or I'll give you another one. Why is Borderlands up for action adventure?
uh,
And what kind of action adventure is in Death Stranding?
the action adventure of doing fetch quest.
Mm. Like this is, and again, this could probably be a topic for another time about the whole blurring of genre definitions.
Or the lack of the Game Awards knowing what a genre is.
Mm-hmm. Why is Gears of War 5 an action game? And why is there
Because
no FPS award? There's like at least 4 or 5 different FPSs that came out this year.
because I don't think they know what a genre is.
Like Gears 5, Metro Exodus, Call of Duty, those are FPSs. So is Borderlands.
There's always a bunch of FPSs that release every year.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't have a horror award.
I
Let's see.
mean, horror would be a different story because I mean, not a lot of horror games get released these
Mm.
days.
Now, art direction. This is a tricky one because again, like how you define what is art. I know, Shark. Let's pitch for next year the roguelike category, and we'll try and pick what are our favorite roguelikes.
I think Call of Duty might be our favorite roguelike.
You sure it's not going to be Luigi's Mansion?
Mm, it could be, but what if instead it was Factorial?
Hmm. Eh. Yeah, the chat is weird in terms of what it's blocking there. So the best art direction went to Control. I don't know. I don't know why Sekiro would be up for best art direction. It didn't really have like an aesthetic to it.
Yeah,
I would say if Greece was up for an award or was counted for this year, I think that show won for best art direction.
or Ori, but
Or he didn't come out this year, unfortunately.
yeah, exactly.
And
But
then
they did advertise Ori there,
there we
the
go.
next Ori.
And then audio design went to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Again, what does like this is the problem? Like, what does audio design mean? Like, I
Yeah,
don't even know like how it would even be a factor. I guess for positional audio, things like that. And again, why is Sekiro on that category?
yeah. You know, I just came up with a theory here.
Hmm.
The reason I'm theorizing here that the reason why they've named these things confusing things, and you're like, what in the heck does this mean? Is because of the confusion. Because when you confuse people, they have no idea what they're doing, so they argue over whatever it is that is causing the confusion instead of over who won because
Hmm.
they probably bought the position to begin with.
And then that takes me to community support, which again, who the heck knows what that is? But Destiny 2 won that. And
Yeah,
I
but
don't
Warframe
know.
didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't even up for a nominee or up for a nom there. I
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means in terms of community support. Which that's a good segue into this category. Content Creator of the Year. The winner is Josh. No, I'm afraid not there. Somebody named Shroud, which I think that is a
Uh,
Twitch streamer, right?
I think so. I've heard the name like once or twice, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna need to spend a lot of money to get myself on that list, right?
He's no PewDiePie.
Mm. Esports coach went to Zonic. That's with a Z. And this is always that great juxtaposition of the video games becoming legitimate, and then you see all the names of people who are esports coaches.
Yeah.
Esports event went to League of Legends World Championship 2019. Again, I don't even know how you rate that. Let's
I don't either.
see. Best
It's
and then here's the thing that just really bugs me. There are one, two, three, four, five, 6 different awards that are esports related, and yet we're missing so many other awards for other game industry related things.
yeah. That's probably because it's all about where the money is.
Mm-hmm.
Not these award shows tend to be all about where the money is, not actually giving out legitimate rewards for
Mm-hmm.
people things have done. I mean, like I'm sure FTL didn't win an award. Stardew Valley didn't do an
Mm-hmm.
award. I'm sure all these amazing games did not win awards,
Mm-hmm.
but all these games, I bet you that some of the games that had a controversy with loot boxes. I bet you some of them won though.
Mm. Let's see. Best family game was Luigi's Mansion 3, which again, it's one of those like non-categories. I don't even know how we would rate that one.
Yeah.
Oh, but if we want to talk about controversy, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate won Best Fighting Game. And if you hear it right now, you can hear the collective frustration of the fighting game community yelling at itself in the ether at the moment.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter V was not up for anything because it's more of a supported game. But oh man, I don't even want to visit any of the Reddits of the fighting game community right now. And then, this is a quote: the fresh indie game, not the best indie game, the freshest indie game, went to Disco Elysium.
Was it? Does that mean that it's going to spoil and go bad here in a few days?
Maybe. And this is the only category that Slay the Spire got a nom for. Which, that just... I'm feeling the rage building up with that one.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, after seeing all the hype on Disco Elysium, like I seriously had my doubts on it. Like I was thinking this is going to be another, Untitled Goose Game, another
Untitled Goose
something
Game
like
was
that,
up for the Fresh Award.
yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm not buying into that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you played it yesterday and seen it, and it's not a bad game.
No.
It's not an amazing game. It's definitely not a game worth $40.
Oh, good. There's another little controversy we could get into.
Well, man, this is going to be a controversial cast either way.
And then Best Game Direction, which, again, I have Oh, don't worry, we're going to get to that in a second, Neil. Best Game Direction went to Death Stranding, but Death Stranding didn't win any other awards. So, for an award about the game industry, how does the game that wins Best Game Direction not get anything for the Best Game of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, what they meant by Best Game Direction is that Kojima was there, and Kojima is the best. So, Kojima is Kojima, so he wins.
And why?
That's it. Like if you were Kojima and you were making a game, you would automatically win.
Damn. I need to change my name to Hideo Kojima then.
Yeah, you got to be Hideo Kojima.
All right, there we go. And then the Games for Impact Award went to Greece.
I have no idea how to pronounce that one.
I don't know what the metric is for that. It's the game that makes you feel good.
Mm.
Yeah. And then
again with their confusing, methods.
And then Best Independent Game went to Disco Elysium, and once again, Slay the Spire was not even given a nom for it. But Katana Zero was. And the Outer Wilds
did not get nominations.
Wait, who made the Outer Wilds? Wait, are they?
I have a feeling that a lot of the nominations were paid for.
Could be.
If you didn't pay like a certain amount of fee, then you're not able to be nominated.
Mm-hmm. Like, the other four on that list just seem completely random. Baba Is You, Katana Zero, Outer Wilds, and Untitled Goose Game. Why is Untitled Goose Game nominated for Best Independent Game?
Because it is. Don't you remember all the hype?
Mm-hmm. And then for Best Mobile Game went to Call of Duty Mobile. Okay. I heard good things about that Grindstone game, but we don't have access to it here. But then, of course, we got the one that just makes very little sense. Best Multiplayer Game went to Apex Legends. But Borderlands 3 was on this list.
Well, I mean, Call of Duty is the best action game. Well, no, it's second best because it didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
But so
Is Call of Duty an action adventure game?
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, it is.
I think we can
It
all agree
is.
it's definitely a Metroidvania.
Yeah, yeah. Untitled Goose Game is both a Metroidvania and a first-person shooter, but first-person shooter was not a category,
Mm-hmm.
so it couldn't be put into that.
Best narrative went to Disco Elysium. I would say that's a fair award, considering what I saw with the amount of depth there is in terms of that story. I would give it that. And Death Stranding was up for a nomination. I don't know if anyone who voted for it would actually know what the story of that game is.
Yeah, it's that the game is another topic entirely, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then best ongoing game, and oh boy, I think we're going to give El Gordo an aneurysm for this one. It went to Fortnite. And yet Warframe was not mentioned at all.
Yep.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. But they did get a promo in terms of having like a 2-minute segment on the show.
Yeah, they got something in there at least.
Maybe next year they'll unveil, create your own planet. It's a game system in that one.
Hmm.
Let's see. Best performance went to Mads Mikkelsen. He beat out Norman Reedus. Oh no.
I'm surprised.
Well,
Norman
maybe.
Reedus should have won everything. That Kojima didn't win.
And I guess probably by the year 2021, when we get to play here on the channel, we'll see how well his performance is.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we get to the one that's giving me back to the aneurysm here. Best role-playing game went to Disco Elysium. And it was being compared to Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy. I woke up with a headache this morning. Now I know why. It was a preemptive headache for this.
Getting out of the way early.
Mm-hmm. Why is Disco Elysium a role-playing game? But why is it in the same category as Monster Hunter World? And for that matter, why is Monster Hunter World not in the best action or action adventure category?
Because listen, Monster World is an RPG first-person shooter with roguelike, elements. It's not an action adventure game.
Best score and music went to Death Stranding. Best sports racing game went to Crash Team Racing. Wait, you combine sports and racing? I think so. It's something I know a lot of people were complaining about it.
They had plenty of money to pay for that nomination. I mean, they had plenty of goodwill to get that nomination there.
Best strategy game. Oh, here we go, Shark. Just for you, Fire Emblem 1 is the best strategy game.
Well,
did you know Anno 1800 is a strategy game? Because I didn't know that.
It has strategy to it.
Mm-hmm.
So does Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
The strategy of hiding behind something and then sniping somebody from a distance.
Mm-hmm. And then the best VR AR game went to Beat Saber, which I have not played.
I have watched Monkey play tons of that, and it's pretty much the only VR game until Half-Life Alyx comes out, because everything else is just a tech demo. So I'm not saying it's the best game. It's pretty much the only one as far as I know of. I mean, there's the Telltale things, but they're like 20 minutes long. I would again say that's like a demo or thing that's not like a game. I mean, Beat Saber is like Osu kind of thing. You can play that thing forever. It's got infinite replayability as long as you're not tired of the music, and it has mod support on the PC anyway, where you can download any game. So it's like Guitar Hero, but with infinite DLC kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Any game that comes out, somebody can make a mod and throw it on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, it's the one VR game I actually want to play for about 30 minutes, and then I'd be done with VR.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about music-based games, the one of the music genre that I completely missed was Rocksmith, and I heard really good things about that one.
Oh yeah, I have that one. I got that one back when it was new.
Hmm.
But you got to have an actual real guitar to use it.
Huh? That's one goes a whole lot of problems around here if I try to play that.
But you won't have an amp hooked up to it because the way it worked the way a regular guitar works is you have a guitar, like this one sitting here right next to me. You strum it and it doesn't make any noise,
Okay.
hardly at all. It's just ding, about as much noise as hitting a rubber band would be. And then electric guitar anyway, which is what it runs on, not acoustic. You plug it in, and then you plug the guitar into an amp, which amplifies all that, and then that goes out to your speakers.
Okay.
That goes into everything. But instead of doing that, there's this custom plug that you plug from your
Hmm.
your guitar into either your PS3, which is where I had it, or they have one for the PC. It's a USB, so the cable should work the same on both.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to and then the game
Mm-hmm.
acts as your tuning software and as your
Okay.
amplifier through your TV speakers or whatever speakers you have hooked up to your computer or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just transferring audio
All right.
in a different way.
And yeah, for me, I don't have any VR setup whatsoever. I guess I could get it now with a new computer. Play those games,
Yeah,
just get completely dizzy and all that.
your computer is definitely able to handle
Yeah.
VR.
The question is, can I handle it?
Yeah, and can you afford it?
Yeah.
And can you stream it? Which would be probably not.
Oh yeah. People want to see me like walking around. I'll like hit something in this room very easily.
Well, the thing is the when you're capturing VR, it's got two different screens.
Oh no.
One for your
Oh yeah,
left eye,
that's
one for
right.
your right eye.
And you need to see.
So you're going to get a different capture than what you're doing. Plus, they're very wide screens.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's definitely capturable, but like when you capture it, it's not the same thing you're seeing, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
All right. So I guess to wrap up this little section and talk a little bit more about the Game Awards. So again, it's another year of them trying to say, I think, like, look at me, the game industry is legit, but it still doesn't like really do much for I think anyone who's actually involved in the industry.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's more of an insult to most of the people in the industry. It's more triple A's, strutting their stuff with a couple people here and there.
Mm.
Mostly, people who've gone viral, you know, like Untitled Goose Game, Slay the Spire, and Disco Elysium.
Slay the Spire didn't even win any awards whatsoever.
But he got a nomination.
Eh. What is an indie game, right?
Yeah, we got to do that topic one day. It's
Mm-hmm.
on the list.
Yep. Oh man, I guess was there any like actually reveals that you were excited about?
Only reveal that I seen that was worth anything was the Ori reveal.
Mm.
I didn't watch a whole lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was too painful for me to watch. Again, after watching that, I feel like it's about 500 times harder to cringe now.
I guess I kind of like the No More Heroes reveal, but they've always been really good at style from Suda 51. I need to see what the gameplay is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because I've heard some of their games being really good and some of them being not so good.
yeah, and oh yeah, that Dungeons and Dragons trailer started to give me a headache just watching that one.
Oh, yeah, that.
Hmm.
What were they thinking? Whoever made that trailer, what were they thinking?
They were
And the
trying to make
graphics in
Dungeons
that
and
trailer
Dragons
weren't even all that
hardcore.
good. Yeah, the graphics weren't even all that good. If you got to
Yeah,
look at the characters, like
very
they looked like
generic.
they looked very generic and very plain. It looked like I don't know, like semi low poly kind of thing, but
Hmm.
not technically low poly. It's like it looks low poly, but it isn't kind of look.
My favorite was the big reveal of something of a new Magic the Gathering campaign. That all that lore they saw like means absolutely nothing to me. Like I don't think they even played like one card during that entire trailer.
No, that was completely all CG cutscenes.
You sure they don't have? You can't summon skeletons in real life when you play Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Ah, oh, damn.
Like,
The
I mean, that's I've done a lot of research on Magic the Gathering trailers, and like half of them are like just purely cutscenes, like that is, and the other half are half cutscenes and stuff, and half gameplay. With the animations and everything they have in game,
mm-hmm,
and those tend to, for their animation, have the actual card images in the animation.
mm-hmm.
Like it'll just be the image off of a card, like just slightly animated, or like like it'd have been awesome if they could just animate it in the game,
Yeah.
and then just show off that rather than make a custom animation and just be in the trailer kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, like I say this many times, trailers without gameplay footage just don't do anything for me anymore.
Yeah.
Like my favorite was the one that Jeff said, and we have gameplay footage of this game, and there's no gameplay footage.
Mm-hmm.
Weird Wes, I think that's what it was called. Like the quote unquote gameplay footage was just a character walking in an isometric perspective. I'm sure that
Yeah.
wasn't simulated at all.
Yeah.
Mm. Surprised we
It's
didn't hear anything about that game from Arcane. The one they revealed at E3, like with the opposing a man and woman fighting in that town.
I don't remember that one.
And they announced, oh yeah, my favorite trailer was the one of a nondescript tree with ominous music around it. Like, I watched, I was like, what the hell am I looking at here?
Hmm.
You know why? The thing that I find even less thrilling than a non-gameplay trailer, a trailer that I have no idea what the game is even for.
Or what it even is. It's just a tree.
Yeah. The sequel to Hellblade, I don't know. And like I'm playing it right now, kind of in between Labyrinth of Refrain, and again, like I see why people liked it, but it always confuses me when like some games make people just like lose their minds over it.
Yeah. I think that has a lot to do with influencers,
Mm-hmm.
if you were. Which
Mm.
we gotta also have that talk one day.
Yep.
It's on the list.
Mm-hmm. But I guess with that said, again, like it just feels so much like a non-show. Like people who like make video games, I don't think they really care about the Game Awards, other than the ones who win, obviously.
I would disagree. I would say it's not a non-show. I would say it's all show and nothing to do with the actual gaming industry.
Mm.
It's just all show. Like this is our peacock. Look at it, flaunt its feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore the game developer behind the peacock.
Mm.
That's what it feels like to me. It's all show and basically nothing to do with the real games industry.
Well, at least it's a step off from some of the earlier awards. I think one award was basically when they had Anna Nicole Smith doing cosplay of various female characters. That was certainly the high bar to clear.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of disagree with you because at least that was less cringe than the one that was out this time.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have been better.
Yeah. And here's my question: why isn't They Are Billions up for Best Strategy Game Award?
Yeah,
I mean, there weren't a lot of strategy games to be released this year. I mean, anything could should have like been part of that.
yeah. But again, nominations seem to be, I think, have a money trail attached to a majority of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, we need to do a best roguelike. No, better yet, we'll do best roguelike, best roguelite award, and just confuse the hell out of everybody.
Best Rogue Award.
Oh yeah, let's do that. We won't piss off anyone on Red with that one.
Yeah.
And not even a nomination for Phoenix Point as well. Again, there's so few strategy games. Mm. But let me check our time. I guess we're up to 40 minutes. Do you think we have time to do both game engines and character branding?
We can try.
Alright. Well, let's do our character branding topic now. Then we'll do weird games, and then we'll see where we're at after that. So, our first major, or I guess second major topic for this week is discussing about the importance of character branding and how it's become a major elevating factor for a lot of games, especially keeping them popular in the long run. And we can go as far back as, or we could start off with the easy examples, Mario, Sonic, Crash Bandicoot, the whole mascot platformer era. But I think this certainly took on a new light, starting with Team Fortress 2, and kind of really focusing on defining characters and using them as part of the elements of the branding, as well as just giving them more of depth in terms of their storytelling. Now, on the part of the thumbnail, I mentioned, of course, Overwatch. And Overwatch is a very huge example of this. Because if it wasn't for those characters, it would just be, generic team based shooter 18.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, something that has become a lot more of a factor, I think, in terms of recognizing a game. And I think it's kind of one of those things that, like, going back to the whole Fortnite versus Warframe thing, it's very interesting how these two games kind of, compete with each other in this regard. Like, Warframe definitely has style in terms of, cyber ninjas in space, but there's nothing I think that is defining. In the sense that if you show a character in Warframe to somebody who hasn't played the game, they probably won't know what that game is. But like the Fortnite style has become so, omnipresent that it has taken on new life on its own.
Did you mean Overwatch?
No, actually Fortnite as well. There's now a whole matter of crazy Fortnite branding now.
Yeah, but I mean the Fortnite characters are not. They're pretty generic, but I mean they are iconic in their genericness.
Safely
If that makes
extreme.
any sense. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's safely extreme.
Yeah. But I guess going back to Overwatch with it, that like every character in Overwatch, again, like people have become obsessed with some of these characters in terms of their personalities, the branding. Of course, there's always that controversy about which characters, are LGBT, which characters are straight, and so on.
Yeah, that's important for the off-brand content made with them.
The brand or the off content we can't show without being flagged by YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it has become, I think, a major factor for these games. Like everyone wants this kind of branding, I feel, for their titles. And this even goes as far as what we're seeing in terms of trailers for these games as well. Every character has to be, quippy, Whedon-esque. I think that's a term a lot of people like to use.
Mm.
Oh yeah, of course, it's completely related to the gameplay. That is essential. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people, or people who are more observant, tend to criticize these games for, is that all the trailer footage, all the fan art, all the 8-page background synopsis on these characters has absolutely nothing to do with the gameplay whatsoever.
You could take that all away, and the game would change it not a single bit.
I would say Team Fortress, I think, did it the best. That they used the story to kind of justify the updates. Now, in reality, of course, the updates were developed first and the story was wrapped around it, but it always seemed consistent, which I think is very hard to do right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to try some of the characterization. Excuse me. In our current game,
Mm-hmm.
we have like so many characters. It's going to be hard to do that with very many of them. But like, I want it to be meaningful when we do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, and also, I ain't got much money to spend on wasting stuff for just a trailer. So what I intend on doing is basically figuring out what we need
Mm-hmm.
for a trailer, and then building that, into the game.
Yeah.
Building it into the game. Like I mean, there might be a cutscene where somebody, there might, well, let's say in the trailer, somebody does an amazing backflip and then, beats a bunch of enemies. We can totally put that into the game, into the story part of the game. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
You're not going to make something just for the trailer
Mm-hmm.
unless it's fairly cheap or free.
And that's something that we see a lot of developers try to do with their games. That they'll go, like, as we just said, the Magic the Gathering example being a really big one. That you have this impressive looking trailer, and none of that is really on brand to the gameplay. And that is, I think, one of the big challenges of this kind of design. Is that when we talk about branding like this, we refer to branding from a storytelling perspective and branding from a gameplay perspective. And it's always easier to do things from a storytelling than it is a gameplay. Again, we going back to Overwatch. All those trailers for all the characters and everyone falling in love with people like Mei and Tracer, and those are the only two Overwatch characters I know or I remember. None of that matters for the gameplay at all.
Yeah, that's mostly because, I mean, I don't even know. I've never played Overwatch. Do they have cutscenes and story, bits in there?
No, there is going to be a single player campaign for Overwatch 2.
See, then that's just useless.
Mm-hmm.
See, now then, if there were story bits, if there were cutscenes and stuff that involved stuff like this, that wouldn't be so bad. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be bad at all. Maybe not the best thing to just put out a flashy trailer, but again, the whole point of a trailer is to be flashy and build up hype. But don't be so flashy that you don't show off gameplay.
Yeah, and again, I think Valve were, or they were the kings of this with Team Fortress. That when they put out some kind of crazy new trailer or some crazy new video for Team Fortress, that became related to the gameplay. Like when they did the, I think it was man versus man mode, which is kind of like their PVE gameplay. They did an actual, a cinematic cutscene for it, and it revealed what that was and got people hyped for it. I mean, they even one of my favorites was the comic strip for when they introduced Girardi for the sniper, and they introduced like the lore of that. And again, like all the trailers, the comics have nothing to do gameplay wise with Team Fortress, but it still infers on what's going to happen. And many people have if you pay attention, a lot of people have found teasers and little Easter eggs for upcoming content in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I it is I'm just getting back to that same point where
Mm-hmm.
if you're, I wouldn't make. I don't know how to explain this. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Things that actually refer to the game itself.
Yeah.
It's good to put in a trailer. But
Mm-hmm.
things that have nothing to do with the game, besides it's the characters, and now we're animating them in some kind
Mm-hmm.
of crazy animation. Yes.
I think that actually, again, like, I know I keep bringing up Team Fortress, but it really is one of the best examples of this. That when Team Fortress 2 launched, there was very little in terms of that kind of like trailer marketing and stuff like that. They didn't really start doing the Meet the Team videos and the other stuff until after the game came out. Well, what we see these days is a lot of people are doing that stuff before the game comes out. And like as like the counter example of this, they revealed during the Game Awards that thank you, Gordo, that they're revealing that they're going to be doing a whole kind of licensing of League of Legends characters to other games and other stories, and I'm like,
Oh, I heard that.
why? Like, what does this have anything to do with what we know in League of Legends?
It's, from what I can see, it's just another way they can, monetize other people's games. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
here, we'll give you the license, but you're going to give us, 50% of the profit, and
Probably
then,
more.
not 30% is going, 50% of the money, and then 30% is going to go to Valve,
Mm-hmm.
and 15% is going to go to the publisher. So
Mm-hmm.
you might get, 5% of the money, and 5% of the money might be, you know,
Mm-hmm. And again, like
$100,000.
we did that discussion. I had John Brieger on. We talked about the importance of IP branding and how much it does add to these games. But there has to be like again, it's a very weird like contradiction here because I mean, Mickey Mouse does not use a keyblade in any of his cartoons, but it worked in Kingdom Hearts. So I mean, you can have characters kind of be quote unquote off brand, and it does a lot. But I think it has to be like a mega name, like Mickey Mouse in a video game. That's going to bring a lot of money. League of Legends characters, I don't know.
You really missed that one episode where Mickey wielded a keyblade.
Damn,
It was a very, very different episode, but it was something else.
it was a special episode, as they say.
Yeah, yeah, it was a very special, limited episode that did not get aired for
Damn,
many, many years.
and
It's
apparently
hard
we
to find
summoned
now.
Draken too. But character branding, let's see. I think again it has become such a very big deal for these games and just having something for the audience to identify with. But the problem I feel is that a lot of it is still kind of generic. That it seems like we only have two kinds of characters. You have the hyper quippy characters, or the super badass characters who can do no wrong, or
I don't
the
know. I
hyper
haven't paid
quippy
attention to
super
all that
badass
character.
characters.
But I don't know all their characters, but I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with you on that. But they are generic in the way that they're not in the game like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're just they're just trailers with those kind of characteristics.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the gameplay with that kind of thing. There's nothing in the game at all with that kind of thing. In the game, they're just characters that run around, shoot
Yeah.
people, and use whatever traps or whatever powers they have.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. I mean, like let's just take Call of Duty, and we'll make a bunch of Call of Duty characters, and in the trailers, you'll learn all about why Sergeant Mick hates
Mm-hmm.
Master Chief or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
and it would be the exact same thing.
Yep.
It would be the exact same thing.
And like for a lot of these games that are like trying to do this, I mean, if you look at any like the big name multiplayer shooters that came out, or the ones that even failed, like Lawbreakers, you can see that same general cast of characters in each and every one, and like everybody's trying to be unique, and they all just come off as being more generic, I think, than they wanted to be.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing to characterize your characters, but don't characterize your characters that aren't characterized in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If they're characterized in the game, then yeah, show it. I meant
Mm-hmm.
like, I meant like in an RPG, all the characters are characterized because they're freaking characters in the game,
They're
and
unique
you,
characters, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah, like
and absolutely show that off in your trailers and whatnot. But don't just make up characterizations for your trailers.
yeah.
Characterizations.
And like going back to the Fortnite example, like they have named characters in that game, but the problem is that, and I think this also goes back to something like Lawbreakers, aiming a lot of the multiplayer-based shooters, that none of that translates to the gameplay loop. The same thing
I
goes
wouldn't
for what?
I wouldn't worry about it transferring to the gameplay loop, but just the game itself. I mean, like most RPGs, you can't really put characterization into the combat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is the core gameplay loop. I mean, like you can put it into the cutscenes and the story between, which you could argue that the story is part of the main gameplay loop.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say that story isn't part of the main gameplay loop for sake of argument, and so I mean you really can't get much characterization without that story kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the story is in the game, and I think that's good enough as long as you do it legitly in the game to there's a far greater extent than the characterization is in your trailer.
And like it definitely gets a lot harder as we're seeing for these games to stand out. Like, would you consider something like Kratos and God of War last year to be a good example of character branding?
Uh, kind of. I mean, but I mean, they're not really characterizing him in the same way
Mm-hmm.
because again, they characterized him for the game, the way that the game is going to work and everything, and then they just showed that off. So they characterized him for the game, not for the trailer, which would be the better way to do it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you use it in the game.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard, I think, for developers to be coming up with this, because when we're talking about character development, character design, that is very much more on the writing than it is on the gameplay loop, as we've talked about. Like, you can have amazing gameplay, and all your characters are just, like, incredibly stilted wooden figures, and we've seen indie games that have done that.
Yeah. And, but writing is part of game development.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it's one of the many hats you have to wear.
Yeah. And I think that I am lucky to be both a designer and a writer as two of my strongest points, because there are so many points where a writer and a designer that really realistically need to team up,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember in our last game, I ran into the issue of, hey, people are going to be expecting this game to be like 40 hours or whatever. We're not going to be able to pull that off. But we need to pull off a decent runtime. How long can we pull it off? How long can we make this go without making it bad? Yeah. And I figured the amount of levels that we could make without overusing our assets I figured out how many different variations of those kind of things, and figured out that we could at most do 15 maps.
Hmm.
It's like, well, 15 maps. If each map takes 10 minutes to play, then that's like an hour and a
Yeah.
half. Oh crap, we're in trouble. And then between then me working with me as a game designer working with me my writing self,
Hmm.
it's like, how can game designers like, well, what if we could use 10 of these maps twice? That would get us up to 25, and then I can do other kind of tricks like New Game Plus and stuff like that. And the writers like, yeah, the writer side of me is like, I could write a story where they need to go from this point to this point and then back, and then I can make like alternate story ends and whatnot to go off in different paths and make the you know in just writing is just such a critical point, I think, in game development. And like I said many times, is I think pretty much any game can benefit from writing.
Hmm. Yep. Of course. I mean, again, you can see that. Say what you will about design wise, but Blizzard was one of the first developers to really kind of embrace, writing and lore building with their games. Now, it's full of tropes, and people have definitely called them out on it, but there's a reason why people still get excited when they see Diablo or when they hear Deckard Cain, say one of his lines for the umpteenth time. Like it adds a lot to the game. It's like that X factor for a lot of
Yeah,
these titles.
and it
And
has nothing to do with China.
hmm and I think Draken's gonna get us demonetized slowly but surely in chat.
We probably already demonetized.
Oh yeah,
Talk about the
between
Game
installing
Awards.
the Game Awards, China, Blizzard, and Visual Novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And an example just like popped into my head and I lost it. Blizzard. Oh no. I'm trying to think. There's another example of somebody who's really focusing on strong writing with their games. Well, I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but like Disco Elysium, again, like as we said earlier, it's not a gameplay related title, but the writing and the narrative are so strong that I think a lot of people are overlooking that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are overhyping what they
But yeah, like,
the the
hmm,
see the thing is Disco Elysium
hmm,
isn't anything new,
hmm,
because I mean there's a whole engine based around what Disco Elysium is, and that's called Twine,
yeah,
and it's a text based engine
hmm,
that you can put images and whatnot into, but not like 3D models or anything like that. But you can, uh, it's a storytelling tool,
hmm,
and some people have said it's a visual novel and tool, and I would say it's definitely not a visual novel tool. It's more like a anti-visual novel tool kind of thing, because a visual novel normally has lots of visuals and it usually looks really good with no substance. Where Twine usually has, if you go to a good Twine creator, it has like all kinds of substance, like all kinds of choices. Every choice matters, just like Disco Elysium, and it's really in depth and everything. But generally, there's nothing but black screen with white text on it, or the occasional image here or there, or the occasional GIF implanted into it.
hmm,
And but it's a storytelling engine, and it is basically exactly like Disco Elysium, and you can get thousands of those games for free. And if you get a strong writer in one of those things, and not just a overwriter that likes to detail the color and wrinkles on your bed sheet in about 5 paragraphs, if you actually get a good legitimate writer like
hmm,
Disco Elysium has, you can get uh, a good
hmm.
solid game in there. but it has no visuals. And Disco
Mm-hmm.
Elysium is that with really good visuals,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really good experience. Because I mean, without the visuals, it still can be a really good experience.
Mm-hmm.
But with the visuals, with really good visuals, it's even better. But I don't think that's worth. I don't think that's worth $40. You know, I don't think that's. It's a different kind of game. You know, it's a very storytelling game rather than a gameplay game. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. But for a lot of people, the story and the characterizations are such a huge factor in terms of bringing them into that world. An example, not the one I was saying, but one that really I think is a exemplifies this, would be the games from Watch and Eye, the Blackwell series, Unavowed. Oh no, I forget his other one too. But his games feature very strong writing, very detailed characters. And despite the fact that they are just, point and click adventure games, it does capture a lot of people's interests.
Yeah, I don't know anything about those games, but I've
Mm-hmm.
never been into point and click. But you know, Twine games do have a very much a parallel with point and click games, but it's more like point at a hyperlink text. I mean, Twine is functional in the browser because in the end, it's basically just a website that you're clicking hyperlinks to go from one page to another, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on your choices to what web page you go to. And basically, you can have an offline version, you can have an online version, put images in there, and I think it shares a lot of programming with
Mm-hmm.
actual web development. But I don't actually know that, but I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
HTML and MySQL and stuff like that.
All right. Let's wrap this up, and we'll move on to weird games. I have one final question. This could probably be a 40-minute question as well. But so I guess here's the question for the chat and for you as well, Shark. Do you think strong characterization will save a game? As in, the gameplay is just blah, or something we haven't, or something we've seen many times over. But if it features incredibly strong character development, really great world building and stuff like that, do you think that's enough to save a game?
Define saving again.
I guess being enough to distract people from the fact that the gameplay is just either not good or just very generic.
Commercially viable, then, is what
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
And potentially, yes, I would say that that could potentially save a game from not being commercially viable because of marketing, industry, hype, all that kind of thing. Like I think that very well could be, but only if it's characterization that people like.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a characterization people are like all right with or they hate, it's going to not have an effect on that. But if it's a characterization that they really like, it could probably save a decent enough game.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't think you should be trying to save your game in that way or aiming for that. I think you should be trying to make the best game that you can.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean the best game in the world. It doesn't mean a perfect game, but the best game that you can make in a reasonable time period and put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you shouldn't be just trying to I don't know, cash in through dirty methods and whatever cheap routes you can take to try to cover up it's like having a mess, having a pile of mess on the floor, and then you just take a rug and you throw it over it, and never mind the pile that is sticking up. underneath the rug that is like 2 or 3 feet tall. Just ignore it. It's got a rug over it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't get behind that kind of game development kind of thing. But like, you know, I mean, no game is going to be perfect. There's going to be bumps and stuff underneath there, and it should just be, I mean, there's plenty of games that have like tons of bumps that are very well loved,
Mm-hmm.
like FTL. FTL has a crazy number of bumps underneath there, and they're not hiding it with a rug either. It's out in there the open, but like that is such an amazing game. Like
Yeah.
there is countless things wrong with it, but those countless things wrong with it are also part of what the countless things that are right about it,
Mm-hmm.
and which is RNG. RNG is both the great thing about FTL and the bad thing about FTL. So if you took that out, or if you changed it in such a way, you would probably ruin the bad part. You'd probably fix the bad part of it, and then fix the good part out of it there too. And you just have something mediocre. It's not bad or good, but I think the good part of it makes up for the bad part and whatnot. And a lot of people don't see the bad part, kind of thing. And again, you can't make a perfect game. That just doesn't exist. Won't ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because human beings are not perfect. Until human beings are perfect, we can't make perfect things. We can't even dream about making perfect things, brother. I doubt even if we were perfect that we could even make perfect things. But yeah, I mean, you can adding characterization to your game could save it, but I don't think you should be focusing on saving it. I think you should be working on making it not need to be saved in the first place.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think speaking about making perfect games, I think that is a very good segue into seeing what weirdness is coming out this week.
What non perfect games
Yeah,
are coming out this week?
exactly. Let's see. What do we have? Let's see. I need to shrink this up a little bit. 1 second. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, I adjusted in one, and I got just over here really fast. There we go. Alright, so let's see. Oh, here it is. Dragon was mentioning this, the Jesus game.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. If you're a game lover, why not get to know him?
Like I'm all for a Jesus game, but make a good one. It
Wait,
looks like a walking simulator with a few
wait.
inputs.
Is the final stage when the game becomes Dark Souls? The real Dark Souls begins?
Maybe. I can't help but notice that animation right there with the boulder.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the light around it when it's in front of the door, but as he moves it out of the way, it's still glowing against the non-lit wall.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's going to be a game of the year for 2020 in the Jesus category.
Maybe.
Alright, let's see. Slippery Sausage. I did look this up before just to make sure. That was not what I was going for with that title.
Who knows, Draken?
I don't know.
Seeing
50
how,
levels.
according to, the book, he was definitely not from the U.S.
Oh, so many demonetizations coming. Ooh, play with physics. But there's... Oh, there we go. We got some footage. Looks more like a tool rather than an actual game. Let's see. Go. Is that Galactic? They misspelled the name in the in the listing than is in the thumbnail.
Or
That's not a good sign.
maybe they misspelled the one in the thumbnail.
Empire. Okay. So it looks like it's a busy work game.
Yeah. Get busy.
Wait a minute. I can't believe it's not Gambling 2K Game of the Year edition.
It's a meme game.
Mm-hmm. With basketball on the side. It was the last entry of the I can't believe it's not Gambling franchise.
I'm surprised that didn't come out a couple of months ago.
Oh no. It may do better than the 2K game. Let's see. Impossible. Substance
In
Bear.
ratings, it should. Was that Kaiju Casino? Is that what that said?
Yeah, I think so. Wait, what?
The Godzilla.
Merged Towers. What the hell? How is this a strategy game? But there's a loot box.
But Call of Duty's an action game, so this has got to be a strategy game.
Potada. So it's a venture platformer.
You say batata, I say potato.
Doesn't look too bad graphically.
Yeah.
Complex gameplay, several ways of passing, puzzles.
I just don't see any mispronounced potatoes in there.
Okay. Not bad. Looking, I think I'll.
Request a key.
Yeah. It's an action adventure game. It's not a platformer. But it's an indie game.
Is it an FPS?
Maybe. Maybe it's a Metroidvania. Or a real-time strategy game.
Or an RPG?
Tomorrow Don't Come. Star of Lumitia. Road Homeward. Open World. What?
Do you think they would? Cry if you called it "Tomorrow Doesn't Come" instead of "Tomorrow Don't Come"?
Maybe. Terminal. What's this? Use quick thinking and agility to avoid whatever nature throws at you. Get animated in order to... Wait, what does get animated means?
You gotta get animated just like you gotta get good.
Oh, good.
This game isn't going to supply the animations. You gotta get animated.
It's good to put the EULA here.
Yeah.
Looks very generic here.
Probably a generic EULA too.
Dead Territories. Is it tower defense? No. It's a computer game. That's good. I didn't know that.
Oh, it's a computer game?
And it gives endless adventure, too.
Endless?
Sounds
intriguing.
Good.
I could play that endlessly.
Here we go. There's something maybe for Draken right there.
It's on my wish list, Draken. Talking to Maneater.
Realm of Darkness. Mix of MOBA and RTS. Ooh, constructions. Okay. Survival Hell. Sweater Okay, the Dillology? What the hell is this? It's a hardcore game about snake gameplay.
And crochet, rather.
Oh, good. It's all my favorite things. And it's not only an indie game, it's also a casual game as well. Zombie Season. More puzzles there. Gotchi Heroes 2. Ninja Run.
What was that last name? Flex Boy? It got you
Yeah.
here?
I am afraid to
Flex
click on that one.
Flex Boyle. Oh,
Mm.
Flex Boy. Flex Boyle. What?
Mm. Ooh, Omnibus Driver.
Pizza Time Explosion.
Mm. Weed. Hentai Match Fantasy Stories. The artwork. Monster Hunter VR, but the thumbnail is Bionic Hunter. Space Digger.
It's the Bionic Monster Hunter.
What? What the hell is this? Note from the publisher. Okay.
Is the publisher the same as the developer?
Maybe.
I would look on there and see if it is.
Casually Hardcore. There we go. Veggie Killer Remastered. Not seeing a lot of like standout good games this week, unfortunately. Man of the House Christmas Special. I'm afraid to click on that. Let's see. The Pyramid. What? Pyramid is a special design of one of save your wife and leave the prison. Oh, it's classical first person perspective. Not your contemporary first person.
Yeah, none of that modern first person perspective. It's gotta have. It's the old school classic.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first person perspective we had back in the era of Mozart. This is the Mozart first person perspective.
Okay, oh geez, oh no, my rabbits are gone. That's definitely a title right there. Okay, Boomer, the game.
Oh jeez.
Farbell. Let's see. It's a turn-based strategy game that starts out at the end. Okay. Go back in time. Interesting concept of a story, but just like nothing about the gameplay.
You start out on your final boss and you back to your first boss, right?
Mm-hmm. Goblin Studios. We've played a few games from them in the past. Let's see. What the heck? I am very afraid of that one.
Yes, Draken, I did.
Troll Control. Reincarnate as a monster. What the heck is that? What is that thumbnail?
The Pirate Queen one?
Save Ireland in the... Ooh. That looks both interesting art, but also very low quality at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Poor looking UI, too. I think the UI is the thing that's dragging it down the most.
Yeah.
No, I was disappointed because at no point in the video was ever Okie Dokie Boomer said. It was just okay Boomer, and some other stuff in between rather than Okie Dokie Boomer.
Ooh. 3D interactive horror movie in a creepy medieval setting. Why is it free to play?
Maybe because they couldn't. Because if they charged, nobody would play it.
That Regions of Ruin is coming to the console. I really liked that one. It had really great core gameplay, but it did get a little bit repetitive, unfortunately.
I have that one. I think that's one of the games I haven't played yet.
Curse Pagoda. Asian Riddles. Warhammer Quest 2. Are they trying to copy Warhammer there?
No.
Let's see. What is Mushroom Quest? Why does that sound familiar? Looks like a puzzle game. Not your ordinary block moving. Man, we have the other game going with contemporary first person, or no, classic first person, and this is not your normal block moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's unnormal block moving.
Oh, here's your dev sentence right here, Chuck. What do you think about that line? 7 out of 10 testers could not pass further than the 15th level. Mm-mm.
Sounds like a great, amazing design that has no issues at all.
Card Princess. Princess Maker Go Go Princess. I heard people actually talking about that as being a good game. Never heard of it, though.
I know the Princess Maker, but is this the same thing?
You're
I
going to make me
don't
click
think it
on this.
is.
If I get demonetized, I'm blaming Shark.
I mean, haven't you already been demonetized 20 times by now?
Yeah. What? So is this a roguelike? Okay.
I don't think this is the same developer.
Hmm. Dancing Arrow Beat Smash. Ascent free roaming VR experience. Man, there's just like nothing really standing out this way other than a Patata game. Infinity Wars. Funny Bunny Adventures. Is this going to be a basic platformer? You must sow the accessible area? What? The game develops logical thinking and responsivity. Is highly recommended for children. I better not play this, because if I can't figure it out, I'm going to be laughed at by everybody. Why is there a leprechaun? Looks like Pac-Man to me. Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Oh, Monolith's getting another expansion. That's nice. I really like Monolith. I think that game was completely overlooked by a lot of roguelike fans.
Oh, I was thinking on a different game. I was thinking.
Oh, definitely putting a key request for that. I'm so surprised it made it to one of the speedrunning events. I'm also happy the game seems to be doing well enough that they're doing DLC for it. Because that's another game that kind of appeared and then just disappeared.
Hey, getting the DLC doesn't necessarily mean it's doing well enough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are developers that never made a cent that are still putting out stuff for the game. Oh, Landlord Girls, that looks like a choice one right there.
Yeah, I'm sure Draken would want me to click on that one. Creature Card Idol. Ooh, Dissection Simulator. My name is you, and it's the only unusual thing in my life. The visual novel games are getting weirder and weirder, aren't they?
Yeah.
Barbarious Tavern of Amir, League of Pixels. Alright, one more, and then let me check our time. Do you think we have time for engines, or do you think we can say that for next week?
Probably save it for later.
Okay. Because the Game Award one ran a little bit long. I'll have to update the thumbnail, too.
Creator. The Game Award news.
What the hell is this? Creator Ex Nihilo? What the hell is this game? Oof.
Creator Ex Nihilo.
What is with this art? What the hell is this?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, good. Again, female protagonist as a marketing plug.
That has a flip written all over it.
Mr. Joshua Carrot. I don't even know what that means. I'm afraid to click on that.
It's a game. It sounds like a game for Josh.
But we already have a game for Josh.
Sounds like another game for Josh. I mean, there can be more than one game for Josh.
They all have to compete with each other, Highlander style.
Hmm. There can only be one game for Josh.
All right, but I think with that, uh, we'll wrap it up. I guess somewhat a little bit early for this week. Next week we'll go. We'll start with game engines, and we'll see what we do for that. Either it'll be that week, or we'll do the end of the year wrap up. We'll have to see how the next 2 weeks play out. But I'll be back later tonight for our regular game streams. As always, you can find me on Twitter at GWBicer. You can check out our Discord channel link down below. And for you, Shark, how can people find you?
Well, in the recorded version, there should be a link to my Discord down below, which is the place where I'm most active. And then you can also find us on Twitter at Nexus Games INC1. And I will be posting something there sometime soon, hashtag soon, that, we're on Valentine here, and hopefully, I said this last week, but hopefully the artist gets me a background this week, and hopefully I can get a actual, there's the demonetization right there.
Oh, no.
And hopefully we can get programming back on track, starting at about an hour from now. We'll have to see how it works out, if it works out, rather.
All right. But with that, we're going to wrap things up before I get any more demonetizations for this stream here. So, have a great rest of the night, folks, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next time, have a great night.